What is an Atacama being?
That's the bean that back some years ago came to our attention that had been taken out of the Atacama Desert in Chile. And it got covered up by some charlatans at Stanford and UCSF. Dr. Garry Nolan, who I'd entrusted with the genetics, ended up altering the genetics to show that it was a deformed fetus, but we know it isn't. And it was a child, still had growth plates in the bones and the equivalent of a 6-year-old child, but it was only about 5 or 6 inches big. So it was some kind of, we don't know. I mean, we don't have a database of extraterrestrial genetics, but we do know that this is something quite extraordinary. And one of the problems is when you bring someone in to do these kind of tests, how easy is it for them to get corrupted? We found out that a $3.5 million or so grant from the Pentagon landed at this scientist's place as soon as he got our DNA sample from this Atacama humanoid. So if you look at the documentary Sirius, that we can provide a link to, you'll see a whole research about that. And the top genetic malformation for bone malformation expert in the world at Stanford, Dr. Lockman, said point blank, there are no genetic defects like this. And most certainly isn't an aborted fetus, which is what the cover-up artist said. And then that's what was reported in the New York Times and Boston Globe and elsewhere. So what you find is that even when you get hard evidence, it can be intercepted and then twisted. And then the mainstream media and these big academic institutions will then pervert it into something completely false. So that's a huge problem. It's like, I've learned the hard way just exactly who can you trust if someone's going to be blackmailed or bribed or threatened. And that is what happened to the research on the Atacama humanoid. Now, I can't say it's extraterrestrial. We don't know what it is. I've always said it certainly isn't human. It's a humanoid type creature. But what it is, we don't know because the genetics studies on it were corrupted.
Who is Garry Nolan? What did he find?
He's the guy who covered it up and actually did the genetic research. He's the guy. Yeah. And now he's become a UFO guy and a sort of UFO celebrity. But this is, look, I've been doing this for 34 years. That story, you can repeat it over 1,000 times, 2,000 times. And I'm always shocked if somebody doesn't end up betraying the truth once they either get threatened or bribed. But at any rate, this is unfortunately the situation with humans, is that it's all about integrity and courage, which is in very short supply on the planet Earth.
Thank you. So let's go to major